All right, hi everyone.
Hello again.
Welcome to Project Wordsmith. So today we're talking about Logic. I'm not really going to talk about who Logic is or where he's from and how many views he gets. You can go to Wikipedia for all that shit. So today we're going to talk about kind of the large projects he has on each of his albums, and I'm going to kind of explain a little bit to Sean, who knows less about Logic than I do. And he's going to ask questions and kind of like really dig into what the substance matter is here.
Yeah, I've kind of heard of him and heard his music over the years. Like, even when I was playing video games and Call of Duty and stuff, people listened to him, and I heard some of his stuff. I don't know too much about him and his lyrics, and haven't really gotten depth with them much. So this is going to be a learning experience for me. So I'm looking forward to this.
Cool. So we're first going to talk about his newest album, which is Everybody. So Everybody came out May 5th, 2017, and I believe it's number 1 right now.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal because Logic has started from the bottom, like very literally in such a silly label. Not silly, what's the term? A low key label that it's allowed him to have more freedom, but obviously not have like the bigger budget.
Yeah, I'm seeing it all over the internet right now, so it's blown up.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about what's going on. So Logic is like a super positive guy. He has a lot of his lyrics on this album have to do with race because he's half black, half white. So a lot of stuff on there has to do with like the good vibes of like we're all like people and we're all equal and stuff like that. And there was some really good. I really liked the singles he put out. Black Spider-Man and Everybody were really great, like upbeat tunes. But a lot of people are not digging like the latest album because it's really politically charged, right? In a time that we have been
it's kind of hardcore right now.
like we've been hammered with that for a very long time, and I think that's kind of why people are like, oh, not again. And it's like the entire album, like there's not a song that's like escapes that, and like again, most of it's good vibes, but some of it is just really heavy to like I think it's hard to listen to the whole thing. Like I think it takes like emotional energy sometimes to like go through that. So I think like that's kind of the issue. Like he has there's also the issue of like he has a couple songs that completely contradict everything else. Like he has, I forget who the feature is, but he has someone who is like, he's talking about how like everyone's fake right now. And he's going about like, oh, like you're scrolling through Instagram, like you're fake. And then he's like, kill yourself. And then, but one of the songs is about like not killing yourself. And it's like a really beautiful piece.
Like a turn, like it goes from one thing and it kind of turns around.
Yeah. Like it's so weird because usually his meanings are like super clear throughout the whole album, but it's like, and obviously he doesn't mean that. I'm not taking it literally, but it was so weird to like be like, oh, you should be like nice to people with anxiety and depression. And like that was like two major songs. Like one song is called Anxiety. And like it goes through that. And then all of a sudden like to have those like totally conflicting, undercutting kind of theories.
Maybe even in a sense, like I'm kind of picking up, maybe he wanted people to question that, like how you are right now. That's kind of a cool thing too.
Yeah, it could.
Do you think it would be something like that too? Like he's kind of going into that and trying to make you question like, why you did that?
No, I feel like you're right. It's like so much. Like one song, he's rapping from like the perspective of a guy who like he's like, this guy has been like hammered to society, like ass, titties, pussy, money, weed, everywhere I look a killing spree, right? So this is like it's almost ironic and satirical of like what society is telling you is great via your Instagram feed versus like what actually is meaningful. So I think it's great, but sometimes he like misses the mark, and like I 90% of the time I think it's great, but that was like a lot of the criticism I saw online included that. Like I personally don't care about that, but I see where that criticism is coming from because I think sometimes you need to be a little bit more clear. He also has like so there's skits in between it, and it has Neil deGrasse Tyson on it, which is awesome. But the skit kind of is like, this guy gets reincarnated every time he dies, and he's every person. So it's kind of like we're all the same people, and I guess the idea is kind of like, the more you're nice to other people, like the more we're interconnected and stuff like that. But I think a lot of people were like, it kind of doubles back on the philosophy. If you just go strictly from a philosophy perspective, it's like you're being nice to people only because that's you and you're going to benefit from that.
Okay.
So I think people were kind of critical of that too. But altogether, it's a great album. I think his lyricism is amazing. And like, so when I say Logic lyricism is not matching what he's usually doing, it's still like leagues ahead of like most other rappers that I've heard.
So how do you personally feel about this, like, since you've listened through the entirety of it, and I haven't yet, in which I'm already kind of getting turned on to listening to this,
right,
because of what you're saying, and
right,
so then I can kind of get an understanding of what you're questioning and what you're seeing. And
I mean, there's some blurry stuff, but the way I see it, like, you're never gonna agree with someone wholeheartedly on something like this, but largely it's just positivity and like love each other and don't be a dick. Like that's mostly what this is. So like,
yeah.
I think it's a win. I think it's cool that especially he can become number one with such like a politically charged album and something that like acknowledges stuff like that. I think it definitely could have been executed a little bit better in my opinion, because like there's some stuff where he straight up he accuses people of like straight up racism, where I think we need to start talking about those more complex discussions about like subtle racism and stuff like that, right? That because that's most people, right? Most people aren't blatantly racist anymore.
It's so more common in our society now.
But how complex can you get on a rap album, right? Like so honestly, I think he did fine with it. I'm gonna kind of jump gears now, and we're gonna go back in time to his last album. So that was The Incredible True Story. And really, like the lyricism in this album is fast. Like it's really cool.
Spits out,
especially to like cruise to it. It's like just like you can't even keep up on most tracks. But I really like the last track because he does skits throughout his albums. And the idea is they're like, it's leagues in the future and they're looking for like a new planet because Earth sucks now because we polluted it. And he goes on about like how we squander like our lives, about like we don't search for meaning, and like he achieves his dreams in a state of lucidity because he's doing rapping for a living, right? Like that's awesome. Like he's doing something that he wants to do as part of his life. And he puts this like Alan Watts, I don't know, have you ever heard Alan Watts, the motivational like quote? He's talking about if when we finally get down to something the individual says he really wants to do, I say you do that and forget the money. If you say getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your entire life completely wasting your time. And he talks about like the circular nature of that. So I forget where like the original quote's from, but I definitely heard it before. And he kind of inserts it right at the end of his album. And it's kind of like we exist in such a weird space in human time where we can like instead of working in a factory, I can go out and do shit like this.
Yeah.
And like it's, I think it's like appreciative of that. And then it counts down to them landing on the new planet, and it's a really cool like skit song like dichotomy, and I don't know, it ends with like them finding new life again.
That's kind of like through the whole, that's like a concept album, and through like what he's trying to portray.
Yeah, like it starts with him, like he talks about his work, and then like this was the real first album where I think he felt like he had succeeded. Because like he had success before, but this was the first album where he was like, I can do my own thing and it doesn't matter what people think anymore because I'm big enough that like his career was set in stone. And I think he was just it's so happy.
He's
like
got that feeling that he's doing what he wants.
Yeah, like he's on top.
He's talking about what he wants to talk
like,
about.
and under pressure, that's what it is, right? He's under pressure to perform, or else he's done. But by this album, he is like, he's on the top of the world, and like nothing can stop him. And I think that's why it's so good. Yeah. Okay.
Which a lot of musicians aren't able to do sometimes when they're so glued into what people expect from them.
Yeah.
And what like their label expects from them, or something like just what they're set in stone. And sometimes mainstream things like make it so then they have to do something specific.
Exactly.
And yeah, like so you're saying like he found that and with himself, and that he's like able to do what he wants to do and what he wants to talk about. That's like really special for a musician, because they've gotten to a point where they can do that. That's pretty cool.
Right.
So I have a lot of respect from him already.
Right. And
something like that.
And of course there's like the personal battles too, where like he literally came from like super poverty, and then like you know what I mean? Like it's such an emotional time period in his life to finally like have that goal. So I think that's what that is about.
Especially getting out of that and getting to where he is now.
Right. So a lot of that comes through on his first album, which he did a bunch of mixtapes first. So he's like, it's really good quality. It's like he has a fan base at this point. And his first album was Under Pressure, and that really goes into like what his situation was like when he was poor, and like it's everything from like his mom being abusive to his dad like doing drugs, and his brother selling drugs to his dad. Like it's a crazy story. Like it's the lyricism on this is just angry and fast, and like it's a crazy feat. Like so
he explains all that happening.
Yeah, like if you go through like the lyrics for Gang Related, it's like pages and pages and pages of like him rapping from his brother's perspective of like, I gotta sell a brick of like coke or whatever it is to get out of this like situation. Oh my God. Like it's really nuts, and I think that's why he's developed such like a strong fan base around this album, because like when you share your story like that to people, they connect like with you. Like it wasn't vague. Like I think a lot of rappers try to be vague and approve to everyone, you know, like
you just spit it out
like
the way it was.
Like his was specific.
Yeah.
And there's something about appealing to me in like the eyes of a storyteller that this has more to do with like, I think that's why Logic's fans are like, RATTPACK is super tight knit because they've seen this. He has this really cool song called Nikki here, and it's so cool because it's like a breakup song, and eventually you start realizing like he's like, oh, I inhale you and you make my lungs black and you make me sick, and he's talking about like how relationships can be like super addictive and stuff, and then really but really you find out at like the end of the song it's nicotine.
Oh my God.
And it was like it was a really cool turn, and it's weird because it says something about relationships too, because it's like there's some relationships in your life that are poisonous, and I think that has a meaning to him too, because he had gotten like, when you come out of that kind of area, you have to like cut the bad fruit off at the root, you know.
He really covered two bases with that song then. Yeah. So he's like even covering more things than one thing, and you can perceive songs in totally different ways than what other people are, because he's covering more than one thing
like
from the get-go.
Some of the like metaphors here are amazing. It's like I love it when you're fresh. I love it when I take your top off and we share the same breath. It's like, wow, that's like that's a cigarette and a girl.
Definitely.
There's one more thing I wanted to go through here. So he does the skit thing a little bit on this album, and he does this cool thing on the Under Pressure, like the track, like the main track, on like the album version anyway. He raps from the perspective of his father, and he talks about how his father like would call him and ask him for money and stuff like that. Yeah. And then he puts the actual voicemail in the track where his dad is like talking, and it's so weird because like from our perspective, the dad is talking about like, oh, like I want to see you, like maybe we can get together sometime, and like oh, but by the way, I broke up with like your stepmom. Like, by the way, like just out of the blue. And then like with that context that Logic gives you, it puts it in a totally different perspective of like, man, that's dark. He does that a couple times, and he raps from his friends too.
That is pretty dark.
Yeah.
And like right away from the start, you're thinking that it's going into like a more positive turn, but then it goes like to negative.
Right.
Wow.
So the final thing I want to talk about is in between the last album, The Incredible True Story, and Everybody, he put out a mixtape, which personally got me through the summer because it was just so it came out while he started his tour. I was like, that is work ethic, man. Like, this guy puts out so much. I think he put 7 projects out in 7 years.
And I saw him putting out videos too of him just going to stations and like just random places and just spitting out like stuff too, and he's doing that stuff. I've seen that on
he has amazing
so
freestyle.
Like even people like me that are in the metal scene are seeing these videos on like Facebook and like YouTube.
Right. Yeah.
That, so
he put out this mixtape, and it was really bumping and chill and stuff. One of the songs is called like The Jam, and like even that mixtape kind of had a theme of like, this is just the fun stuff. Like you have like but like I want to have fun now. And he does like this really fun album. It's pretty short. There's even skits on there too. Hold on, so like the track I'm looking at is Deeper Than Money. And this is like, in my opinion, what this album's about, because it starts off like talking about how great money is and how money changes your life. And the guy who said money doesn't make you happy was never broke and would never try to be. That's like a line. And it's really cool because like he acknowledges the importance of money and also says like it's about so much more than that. Like I love the one where he's like, I only work as hard as I do for Vendetta because my 9th grade teacher said I wouldn't be shit working at minimum wage and cooking McMuffins. and I'm just like, I think it's so interesting how it's like this is to prove to it's not really his 9th grade teacher, right? It's I got to prove to myself that I am worth more than that like area and that situation that he came out of. And it's so cool.
Can be shit.
It's so cool how he snuck this shit in to like a bump an album that had like people think is about money, but it's deeper than money, right?
You have to like dissect it and find out what he's like putting in there. That's interesting. So he's kind of like throwing in things, like from what I'm perceiving right now, he's throwing in things, little trinkets and all that, of like stuff that's just you have to like really listen to and kind of understand and try and...
It's so weird because most rappers, the idea is not to listen to it. And like with Logic, it's like the opposite way. Yeah. Like he shouts out RATTPACK in like almost every song. Like, and RATTPACK is like...
So he's got consistency in like a...
Yeah, that's phrase, like like his group. And because he sometimes calls himself Young Sinatra, and Sinatra, like the original guy, had a group called the RATTPACK, which was like, I don't know if you...
Yeah.
Okay. Some people don't. Some people don't.
That's history.
So, sorry, I was just checking your sound levels. I just want to mention he's like a fantastic marketer with his songs. Like the skit in the mixtape that I was talking about is like, it's like a producer called from Sellout Records calling him, and he's like we really hope to get together with you, and it's like he did all that without them kind of thing. And he's talking about like on the commercial during like while the guy's waiting for someone to pick up the phone, he's like, it's just people talking about how great Logic is, and it's just like a funny way to spritz marketing into your thing.
Putting some comedy into what it does.
Yeah.
So my question is, so like for the majority of his work and even all of it, like what you've been saying, he's more based on like concept albums. Like he actually like puts that thought into it and that kind of approach where he makes a concept out of what he's doing in each album that he does, and he like just lays it down and talks about that concept. Yeah, like with Everybody, he even made a documentary about it,
and it's like he had like an entire string section brought into his studio, and then he'll like fly. He was in like the Dominican or something, and he heard this girl playing the piano in the Dominican. He's like, "Yo, I'm gonna fly you out to be on my album because you're awesome." Like he's so, it's so complete, and like the musical aspect of everybody, by the way, is amazing. Like it's like such a full sound, like
There's
comparable
so
to
many
Chance
layers
the
to it,
Rapper.
yeah.
Like if you've ever heard like Chance's how trumpets and shit, like it's
There's
really
lots
full.
of layers and fullness to
Yeah,
it, yeah.
it's cool. So I'm thinking I'm gonna wrap this one. Are you good? Do you want to say any last? I'm just gonna say.
I definitely like am more turned on to what he's doing, and I want to get to know more about him too by myself. I definitely want to check out that album that just came out because I'm really interested in hearing that, and
Right.
kind of what you told me. I kind of want to see if I can figure that out myself
Right.
too, and kind of get like my perception on what he was trying to do, because that's definitely interesting. And if he's putting all this work into what he's doing, like it's definitely something that a lot of people can appreciate. And,
Right. Yeah. No. It's like it's an album that's for everybody. Like it's called. So I want to say, if you want us to talk about a specific Logic thing, or song, or album, or something, go in the comments and leave us something, and we will like see that and talk to you. I also want to say, his next album is his last album he announced.
He really
So
announced that, eh?
yeah, like I think he wants to do other stuff, or he said he might do like some features and stuff, but I'm really excited to see.
Do you think that's a marketing scheme, or do you think that he's legit about it and then he's just gonna go
I don't know.
forward from that?
I think he's legit about it now. It could change, but
That's
I'm
cool.
interested to see. It's going to be a spectacle for sure.
Mhm.
So yeah, guys, if you want to go check out Logic, I'm going to put a link in the thing.
Description of the video. The thing.
Yeah, the thing.
The description, and definitely any questions that you have to ask, please put in the comments. I definitely have more questions to ask him after and stuff, and like I already had a few, but if you have any input too, put it in the comments, and then we'll talk about it, and we'll kind of get more of an understanding of what he's doing, and you guys might have some history or background, or watch some videos or things about him and know more about him, because I know like I could watch probably a few other YouTube videos or something and learn about him pretty quickly, you know.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you said, look up a Wikipedia page and like learn about him.
Yep.
So there's so much stuff out there. So yeah.
Awesome. All right, we'll see you guys. Rat Pack all day, boy.
Yeah.